Okay, then in this module 4, we are going to discussing about deploying a vSAN cluster, how we can deploy that, all these steps. So from previous module, we should be handy with all the prerequisites, and this lesson is moreover focusing on vSAN cluster configuration types, then the way of how we can deploy that, what are the technical steps we need to follow. Okay, so once our prerequisites are ready, so when we say the prerequisite readiness, like we have respective ESXi nodes, we are good with the disks configurations. Okay, we are okay from network preparation perspective. All right, everything we also plan like what kind of version we are going to deploy, and the important thing, the license one, which features we want, on the basis of feature which license we would be apply. And again, by default, the 1 second guys, just allow me a second. Okay, so when we start to build a vSAN cluster, so select the additional requirement services DRS, HA, along with vSAN itself. But yes, you can enable it later. But these services should not be enabled before you are enabling the vSAN cluster. That's the important thing, okay? Like if you are enabling vSAN clustering feature, your HADRS should not be enabled earlier. They can be enabled in parallel or they can be enabled later as. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, ESA, that will talk later. Don't worry about it. What is it? Then these are the different deployment and configuration methods where we use standard vSAN cluster. Consider reside on its fault domain. You can mix storage options with vSAN type of vSAN direct or PMEM kind of physical memory. Two node vSAN cluster, vSAN stretch cluster, and configure cluster without vSAN data store. So what it's telling you, you configure the vSAN cluster, it will deploy all the requested setting. But when we say vSAN data store, this it will do all vSAN related configuration, but underlying data store you can build later as well, like selecting of disk groups, number of cache drive, capacity drive. This data store can be provisioned later as well. So again, it's depend upon our environment requirement, what kind of deployment we want to perform. According to that, we need to select the cluster configuration. So normally in standard, we either we go with this one option or we go this option. Okay. So here you see, I don't need a local vSAN data store. Especially we will prefer where we talk about HCI mesh actually, where we'll connect the remote vSAN data store. When do we configure the two node cluster or a stretch cluster? In that case, we required a witness site. When I say witness, a witness appliance will be deployed as an virtual appliance that separately available on VMware site to download as a vSAN witness appliance with respective version. Okay, and you have to be ready with that if you are going to deploy two node or the stretch cluster. The next one is deployment method. Either you go for manual or you can go with the quick start deployment. So when you say the manual deployment, customize each step you will perform manually, create cluster, configure, identify vSAN network, configure disk groups and all. Also from cluster, that is in UI itself, like either you go for manual or quick start. In quick start, it will configure the cluster basics steps, Then it will ask you for add the ESXi respective hosts, ESXi host, and configure the cluster setting. And it will automatically pick the underlying cache capacity drive and going to build the vSAN data store. But to avoid like in automated configuration, maybe we are not getting desired one and we may miss something. So we go manual itself. It takes some time, but it here chances lesser for mistake itself. Okay, maybe you have planned something and that's not covered in automated way. You can go one by one itself. Yes, so this is the configuration of networking as we discussed, like especially for vSAN, we have to dedicate a vSAN VM kernel network for each of the ESXi host. So it's matter like whether you have configured in your standard switch or maybe in distributed switch. But yeah, definitely you should have a dedicated VM kernel port for the vSAN function. Okay, so vSAN services, when you will keep on deploying, these are the optional service. Optional I means is whether you want to enable it during the deployment itself or you want to configure it later. Typically, we don't select them, keep an as default. It's all depend upon requirement. We have to enable and all the options will be available post cluster deployment itself. Yeah, so these are the host options. When you will go claim disks section, if you will expand here, like if I'll expand this section here, if I'll expand this section here, so probably you could see here, my total capacity is 25 GB and 5 GB is my cache here. Okay. So it will choose the respective disk and all. Then you will click next. And on the basis of your selection, it will make a vSAN data store. Once your entire vSAN cluster configuration typically takes 15 to 20 minutes time. So we have to wait in vCenter server console itself till it will complete. So once it will complete, you'll get lot of vSAN options, even in configure part, monitor part. Okay. So from the monitor section, once you will see cluster is successfully 100% completed. But yeah, definitely there is some post checks that you have to perform. When I say post checks, you will go to vSAN, check your data store is available, check the desired capacity is fine, all the hosts are participating in cluster. So this almost all the configurations you will get in Skyline Health. You will go to monitor Skyline Health and you will find a big list of parameters, okay, that will check automatically. Okay, so you will expand it, you will get a lot of parameter network you will get. So if somewhere you are getting some warning or error, you don't need to go individually each and every component. Just come here, expand it and check it. Maybe there are some warnings, those are acceptable because of unavailability. But yeah, definitely there, if there is some error just because of any cause, you have to fix and troubleshoot that particular error. Okay. So Skyline health test, we'll talk in details much. Just for brief overview, it runs after each 60 minutes, I believe. That's I need to cross verify either 15 minutes or 16 minutes. But yes, it will run automatically. But if you want to retest immediately, a quick button is also available. You click as and retest. So it will retest all the listed parameters here. So if you'll see yes, this whole configuration as per my desire, then you will see yes, this is fine. This is as per my desired configuration. Else if there is some error and warning, please try to resolve that. Then one especially like when you ask about the reserve capacity. So you will see here actually data written is this much for operation reserve and host rebuild reserve. You just enable it. Okay. You just enable it. and the especially read and write where we are factoring like available capacity warning threshold. These are the parameters by default available. If my actual utilization go 70%, then my data store will get a warning. And if it's go 90% and above, then alert will be generated automatically within my vCenter in alert section, right? Within vCenter, once your vSAN will be deployed successfully, automatically all my vSAN related alarm definition will be updated in vCenter server. And like as I said, if there would be some warning will be there. A alert will be generated. And if you have integrated your vCenter server kind of ITSM tool, ServiceNow and all, or maybe you have done some mailing configuration kind of SMTP server, and accordingly you are getting alerts and warning. Okay. But again, can I make change? Yes, you can make. Okay, you can make. So yes, it is. If my 4 nodes are available, it is enabled by default. So this is a special section actually. We'll go one by one tab. There is a section of capacity reservation within vSAN option in configuration. Then from there you can configure these parameters. All right.
Okay, sir. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this is the lab. Like as I said, we have to prepare ourselves. Review network topology, lab environment, vSAN cluster, configure single tier. Definitely will be covering this part in lab. Just run some command parameter. So Banu, want to ask you like, especially we'll get a lot of things when we'll deploy it, because module theory wise it's a small module, but definitely in labs it will take some time. Just want to confirm, where are you, like have you prepared something?
Yeah, I'll try and build it on my ESXi workstation only, sir. The VMware workstation.
That's
I'll
fine.
try and do it.
That's fine. Still, if you are able to make communications and all, that is fine. So this lab part will cover in I would say another module. So I just want to tell you how you need to make an environment. Okay, let me just, I don't know what you have done so far, but from preparation perspective, what I am expecting, you have to build the environment in that way. Okay, please note down these parameters.
Okay, okay, sir.
Yeah. So which hypervisor you are using now? Definitely we need it.
Okay,
Build it out on it.
okay, sir. Yeah.
And the because we are going to build our lab in nested environment, right? Then at least 2 NIC. Okay. And from
Okay,
disk's perspective, just for testing purpose, 1 disk for cache, and at least configure 2 disk for capacity.
okay,
So if you will take these 2 disk capacity, like 10 GB is enough, that's not a problem at all. And 10 plus 10, 20 GB. You can take 5 GB, enough.
okay,
And just prepare 4 nodes. Initially, we will leverage 3 node, but we'll see how to add the next node. Clear?
yes, sir. Yeah.
Now, let's talk about the VLAN and subnets. In VLAN and subnet, at least configure one for management, one for vMotion, and one is for vSAN. Hope you are using the distributed switch, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay, so management, take this one. If you take something else, that's fine. For vMotion, take this. And for vSAN, this is just a prerequisite you have to prepare, right? This one.
Okay,
Okay, and How you will provide communication between these VLANs within workstation? That's an important thing here.
Can I keep it on same subnet, sir, or I have to make it on different?
Uh, yeah, either for demo purpose, that's fine. You can keep for same subnets also. Just keep certain range, like if I take 1.0, you can take like 1.10 to 30. 30 is much enough. 20, 10 IP needs section. 20 IP, okay?
Okay,
40,
got it.
41 to 60. Okay.
Okay, okay.
But make separate. But
Yes, so port groups are
here,
like,
yes. If you create the native VLAN, that is fine. But if you will make kind of, for example, management VLAN 101, 102, 103. Anyway, you can keep same VLAN, that is fine. But if you want to make different one, how you will be communicate? That's the question within workstation, because I'm not pretty much familiar with the workstation. But if in case it's a underlying native ESXi, I have an alternative for that. I mean,
okay,
within net underline, if you will leverage underline ESXi host instead of workstation. So what typically we do there, we we configure separate uh, VLANs on ESXi level, but we plan a gateway server like a DC or something, and we put as a gateway address to that DC server. I'll show you the architecture how I'm saying. See if it's possible in your environment also. Okay,
okay, sir. Yeah.
make one DC and DNS also server that will be required on many places, kind of authentication purpose and all, and put one vCenter server. Okay, so all these you don't need to put directly inside this, you can put outside itself. Outside means underline your host itself.
Okay, sir. Yeah. So just a query and a request. Do you have ISO images for vSphere and ESXi 8, or I have to search?
Yeah, it's easy to download. Yeah, it's freeware. Na 60 days evaluation is available.
Okay,
Okay.
okay. Cool.
So if you will be using the, let me just draw a network architecture diagram. How I'm saying from network perspective, this is my bare metal ESXi host. Okay. On the top of it, definitely you will be accessing it through the, by default there is vSwitch 0, right? You
Yeah.
will make one more vSwitch 1, a local. You don't need to map any physical, nothing. That's okay. You just access it through some vSphere client for putting some management IP here. This is my bare metal, okay? And access it so that you can work. So in this case, you will build a domain controller machine. A domain controller will have a port that will connect it here, and also another port group that will connect it here, so that you can do RDP to your domain controller itself from your local workstation, kind of Windows, laptop, anything. Okay. And when you giving the management IP to this, like for an example, you have given management IP 10, give the, to one NIC, give the IP 1.11, enable RDP here. This IP will go here. Okay. And this is your another vSwitch, na? A VM network kind of that. And you are going to put here within this virtual switch, just put your vCenter server also. vCenter server, just deploy as an appliance, vCenter 8. Okay.
Yep.
Then whatever the ESXi you are planning, connect them here to this virtual switch. Definitely you will be leveraging two NICs from each. Okay. Two NICs from each. Okay. And within these ESXi host, you will be planning like three VLANs. For example, 101 is my management, 102 is my vMotion, 103 you are leveraging for vSAN. Okay.
Okay.
VLAN means you are going to create distributed port group, distributed switch, then aligning three VLANs. Okay. And
Right.
for all these three VLANs, probably you can use different subnet itself, 10.0.1.0, 24 for management, 2.0. Any range you can take, that's not a problem at all. 3.0, 24. Three subnets and three VLAN. Clear hai so far what I'm trying to understand?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Yeah.
But now question will come, sir, how I will communicate these VLANs? 101, 102, 103. है ना? So what you
Yes,
need
sir.
to do, yes. So for that, because it's a nested environment, you need separate route. You don't need separate route. To this DC itself, within this DC, add three more NICs. Okay. First NIC, give the IP that you are planning for gateway for this VLAN, like 1.1. Second NIC, third NIC. This will behave your router here actually. Okay. Give these
Okay.
IPs to this domain controller itself. And whenever you have to configure gateway here for this range, wherever you will define the IP 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, give the gateway 1.1. To this VLAN, wherever gateway is asked, gateway give to 1, then 3.1. That's how I am expecting lab should be.
Okay.
Can you
Got
make
it, sir.
something like that?
I'll tell you, sir, what I did when I created a vSAN.
Hmm.
In my workstation, what I did was like I created like a separate ESX. So in workstation, I built like 5 ESXi hosts. Okay, and then
Mhm.
one separately I kept for the DC vSphere. So the DC and the vCenter.
Mhm.
Any management VM I was creating in one ESXi host.
No, you
And
don't need. Directly you can create. Yeah, I got you. Because your underline itself workstation. Okay. On one ESXi, you are putting the. All right. Got it.
Haji,
Got it. Got it.
and and then separately I'll create a new cluster within that
Okay.
vCenter.
So let me just pause this recording because the lab will be making in separate recording one. Okay. To avoid any
Okay, sir.
confusion
Yeah.
about this, let's discuss that offline.